Up when they get in here. So today, it is the 30th. We have switched your homework paper color, which means new set, right? This next set will go together. And those three are it for Chapter 5. So I know we feel like we've been in Chapter 5 forever. Trust me, I feel like we've been in Chapter 5 forever. It is the longest chapter of the textbook. So that's why we had the quiz, and we went over that last week or earlier this week. I forget when we went over it. But please reference that to know what's going to be on the mastery. Like I said, I would get all three of these. Get the 534, 535 in the closure. They're all over there. And then somebody in your group needs a calculator.
How long have you been in Chapter 5?
Like 15 class days, pretty much. I don't know how long actual calendar-wise, but a lot of class days. So we're going to be on your graph paper for a little while, for at least a couple questions. Actually, I think for most of today. So I went ahead and highlighted some of the important stuff here. So while people are still getting into things and putting stuff away, you'll notice here on 534, I gave you another one of those math note boxes that talks about consecutive integers. Consecutive just means one after the next, right? No jumping, no skipping. But when they say consecutive even, that means no jumping or skipping of even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Those are consecutive even numbers. And then the odds, same way. 1, 3, 5, 7. Those count as consecutive odd numbers. But if you just want consecutive numbers, it has to be one right after the other. So if somebody said, I have 3 children and their ages are consecutive, that would mean like 8, 9, 10, right? They're all like 1 year. They're all right next to each other, which would be
Yeah, that's kind of...
Actually, there are some families that have that mentality of let's have our kids and then be done. Like, so they, have kids quickly. Whereas, like, my parents were about 3 years between each other. My brother and then my sister was 3 years later, and I was about 3 years later. So, at some school, we have Mr. P, Mr. E, and Mr. R. Right? Easy to abbreviate their names because we know we're going to start to write algebraic expressions. So on your paper, go ahead and put a 118. To know that we're working on question 118, more 5D or not 5D. Like literally, we're picking up where we stopped yesterday. So this is where we stopped yesterday. Literally, this is the next question. Like we're just picking up where we stopped. So we're not technically in the next lesson yet for those of you that are nitpickers. Now, I want to caution you. As I started to solve this yesterday in afternoon class, because they actually made it about 3 minutes further than you did, I messed it up. Now, I erased some of the stuff that I had written up there, the goof up that I had made, but I want you and your partner, because we're working towards next week. Sorry, I said it was going to be today. But on Monday, as little groups, as big as, well, I'll probably say 4 max, but you will be making posters doing this exact same sort of problem solving. So today is kind of like that halfway to on your own. We're going to start a situation. I'm going to give you time. Then we're going to ask for somebody that wants to share their solution and how they did it. So carefully read this. Write the important information on your graph paper. And then solve. I will say this next sentence is the dangerous part because it's different than the other ones we've been doing. Go. Yeah, like art supply. Yeah. So yeah, the whole art supply thing, push that to Monday. If you want to bring things for your posters, bring them Monday. Sorry, we just didn't get as far yesterday as I wanted to. I'm going to give you you can, but I'm going to give you a big graph poster paper. Oh yeah, you're working together.
So P equals R plus so that R times 2 or 2R.
And then we don't know.
And then it's R equals, so then it would be.
I don't know what you're yelling about. That's not how it works. But
81.
I think it's probably time to shuffle. It's been a while since we shuffled.
P plus
What?
E.
Where you put a shuffle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can actually have you guys stand up and shuffle. That'd be a
Yeah.
little crazy.
Can we do that?
No, that'd be a use of time you don't need. Do you really want to sit somewhere else?
So we still
You pretty much toggle between like middle
No, R
and
and
front.
E equals 81.
Alright, we ready for random card?
No. Yes.
Yeah, we are.
What?
Eric, what can you tell me about Mr. P?
P equals R plus 3.
It is miss, my bad. P equals R plus 3. You must have pulled that from here, 3 years older than Mr. Richards. Remember, older than is saying we're going to add that to something. Sarah, what do we know about Mr. E? It's what? E is E times 2? I'm going to say Sarah did that on purpose, right? Because that's the trapdoor everyone falls in. They look at Mr. Edwards, they see the word twice, and their brain says, oh, 2E. That's not true. It's 2R, right? Thank you for doing that on purpose, Sarah. I appreciate you pointing out the trapdoor to help us all avoid it. Right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then Mr. R, Zach, what should I put for Mr. R?
P plus E equals R.
Why would you make it so complicated? I'm not saying you're wrong, but why would you make it so complicated? If this uses R, and this uses R, we want this to use R. R equals R. Don't complicate it, right? Make it easier. We're not trying to make math harder. It's already hard on its own. We don't need to make it any harder. So then, Araya, what could we write based off what's highlighted in blue up there?
R plus E equals 81.
Ooh, R plus E equals 81. Now, instead of keeping R plus E, I know you guys love this rapid fire random card. Callie, what could I do instead? Like, what could I change there to make things easier? You're good. I totally get it. I wish I was eating an apple. Ooh, I need to take a breath. Do you want me to pass you for the moment? Bella, what can we do? Can we add R and E together? No. Do we have anything else that we know about E, Araya?
Okay, so E equals 2 times, R times 2, so just do 2 times R plus another R, or you can just do 3R.
Guys, this, give me your eyes, your ears, whatever you can give me. This is what I'm scared you won't be able to do when it comes to the poster. This is why we're practicing it today. We can't do this. They're not like terms. However, we know E is actually 2R. So we substitute whatever you need to show on your paper to remind yourself. We replace E with 2R. And this becomes R plus 2R equals 81. Who's confused how we did that? Sarah, ask a question. So, are you comfortable with up here where they tell us Mr. Edwards is twice as old as Mr. Richards? So because of that, we look at this E and say, oh, well, Edwards' age is actually double Richards' age. Does that make sense? Toby?
For R equals R, wouldn't it be R plus 2R plus R equals 81?
You screwed up what I screwed up yesterday. Read this. They only sum.
Oh, never mind. They only sum to the 2.
They only sum the 2. Be careful. I screwed this up yesterday. Seriously, not on purpose, not me being teacher tricky, but I literally, because we normally have been used to add all 3. Carefully read. So are we all good now? Any other questions? So Molly, try to catch up since you were just out for a little bit. Talk to your partners back there, see if they can catch you up. This tells us 3r is 81 because this r is really a 1r. Guys, if you need to put the 1, put it. Just mathematicians are efficient. We don't have to put that 1 there. It's inferred. I don't like to use the word assumed. But if I just say Molly, I'm talking about 1 Molly, right? I don't need to say, hey, 1 Molly, good morning. I just say, hey, Molly, good morning. Right? It would be weird if I said, hey, 1 Zach, hi, 1 Lily. Like, that's awkward. Right? We don't have to say 1. We infer the 1. Yeah, Maurice? Absolutely. Which gets what? So we divide by 3 up here to get just the single r. And what is that?
27.
Man, if CPM wanted to make me feel old, now they've done it because I'm older than Mr. Richards. But now, I shouldn't have drawn that way. Now we can come this way and plug in, if we know what Mr. Richards is, can we figure out how old Miss P is?
30. Yes, and you can also figure out what E is.
Yeah, so now we can say since P is R plus 3, P is actually 27 plus 3. So Miss P is my age. Miss P is 30. Yep. And Mr. E, twice Mr. R. So E is 2 times the 27. Ooh, careful. 54. Our Mr. E is not that old. Oh, I don't tell him his ages. I'll give you the hint. We had an important birthday for him not very long ago. 18.
16.
Sweet 16. 16 candles. All right.
Love that.
Any questions? Such a good movie. Any questions about this problem? Now, if we want to check what we did, we can add their ages, right? 27, 54, and 30 to see do they equal 81, and they would. Questions on this? Don't use tons of that. It'll dry your hands out. I don't obviously, avoid the coronavirus, but don't dry your hands out like crazy. All right.
Don't do that, please.
Ramon was studying pond life in Doyle Park. That's a real place, actually. Yep. In 2 hours, he counted 4 more frogs than turtles. I'm trying to be very definitive. This is going to be for you to do. So he counted 4 more frogs than turtles. The number of crayfish, that's a real thing if you are a city slicker and unaware of this, is 3 more than twice the number of turtles. You can eat crayfish. In total, he counted 54 turtles and crayfish.
That green one's confusing. The number of crayfish he counted was more than twice.
So we have turtles. We have crayfish. We have... That's it. Wait, frogs. But this is just turtles and crayfish.
But he counted 4 more frogs than turtles.
How many frogs were there? That's the last question.
I seriously don't know why it does that. There's some kind of glitch that... I mean, the thing is I have it recorded, right? So somebody who's smarter than me can probably tell me why that's happening. But whatever. I need somebody smarter than me. All right, go for it. I'm going to give you at least 3 minutes, but I'll give you more if you need. I'm going to go shut that because I think they're struggling. Yeah, talk with each other. Talk with, I don't care. Do anything.
Do anything?
He didn't read this green part.
So it would be
Number of crayfish.
So it would be
C
I can do anything.
times 3.
Yeah, but anything you can do, I can do better.
T.
I love that song.
T. 2T plus 3.
So we know it. We know it's Wait, but the thing is, was 3 more than twice the number of turtles?
Yeah, that would be 2 times.
No, but no, 3. Yeah, oh yeah, plus 3.
Remember times that she counted to the 3 times of
Oh, I times
Okay.
T plus C equals 54. Which that is
T times
so that is just
Actually, I really can't. You guys can do a lot of things better than I can.
I'll read a Blender monologue. Let's do a monologue in Blender.
You want to do a monologue about math?
No, I did a monologue in Blender.
Savannah, tell me something to write.
Okay. So which one do you want?
Tell me something to write.
Okay, I'll give you C. 2 times T plus 3.
So C, you said, is 2 times what?
T
2 times T,
plus 3.
and you pulled that from crayfish he counted, is our equals, 3 more than, the plus 3, 3 more than what? Twice the number of turtles. C should be 2T plus 3. Who didn't have that and needs me to explain it more? As this is when you gotta be real honest.
I instead of doing T, because the rest of it is in F, I did 4 plus F times 2 plus 3.
For C,
Mm.
let's hang on to that and come back and look at the maybe why. Like why. So, do you want to give me something to write down? Like what the T equals?
T equals 4 plus F.
4 more frogs than turtles. So T equals,
F minus 4.
wait, he counted 4 more frogs.
I did T equals T.
Wait.
Counted 4 more.
Which is there more of, frogs or turtles? Frogs. So frogs is turtles plus 4. Or turtles is frogs minus 4. Guys, check this. Like, because there are multiple ways for us to do this. But if I look at this statement, that he counted 4 more frogs than turtles, the frogs is turtles plus 4. Be careful with how you write that. It's easy to write it backwards, or like with a minus instead of a plus. You have to really pick apart what the language is saying.
Can you make TT?
I could make TT because I don't need to reference T as 4 less than the number of frogs. We know that turtles is 4 less than the number of frogs, but I don't need to do that because everything else is referencing T. So Lily's pointing out the good decision here of since this references T and this references T, make T just T, except make it look like a normal T. So now we could 5D process this, right?
I mean, good.
Or we don't really have to, as we talked about yesterday. Because the next thing I could do, lose, what could I do next? Or what's the other information that we know? Total of what? Turtles and crayfish. So the next thing we know is turtles plus crayfish is 54. Now from this point, I don't like t plus c because they're not like terms. But the next thing I could do, now Molly, you weren't in here, I don't think, the first time we did this, but can you make a guess of something that we could do to replace one of those with something quote unquote better? It's totally okay if you want to pass. I'll shuffle you for a second. You're out for a couple minutes. You can phone a friend, quote unquote, if you want.
Okay, so you can combine the keys that you have. Okay.
I have T and C. I don't have multiple T's over here.
But you have 3 keys over to the left.
I have T, T, T. Everything in T's. So I like T's. I'm working in T's.
You can
Olivia?
You make it T plus 2T plus 3.
Replace your C with the T statement. So this is really 2T plus 3. Right, so when I write this, I have T plus 2T plus 3. We substitute in. The C becomes this. Equals 54. Now stop yourself for a minute, because it's easy to just write it down. Do you understand why we just did that? We said crayfish is 2 times turtle plus 3. So instead of saying crayfish, I say 2 times turtle plus 3. Turtles, number of turtles, whatever. Questions? Molly, since you were out the last one, are you good on this one now? So this is called substitution. On a test, if I say hint, reminder, careful, one of those things, and I say, you're going to need to substitute. This is what I'm trying to remind you about. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. On your test, when it says remember to substitute,
That's what he's talking about.
Trying to make sure y'all are like, oh, okay. Take a moment, internalize it. You replace something. No, internalize it. But yeah, sure, internalize it. So now we can put things together. The T and the 2T make 3T plus 3 equals 54. So then, Toby, what could we do now with this white expression that has T, 3T, 3, and 54?
Well, we could try. Oh, crap. Hold on.
Everybody should have this written down. What I have in white should be on your paper. Probably in pencil.
Okay. If the 3 weren't there, I would say we could take.
Now wait, pause. You said if the 3 wasn't there, can we get rid of the 3?
Uh-huh.
Which 3? That 3 or that 3? Are you talking about the plus 3 or the times 3?
So we take the 3T, take 54 divided by 3. And
No,
then,
not yet, not yet, not yet. Stop.
okay, we divide.
No, not yet, not
No.
yet. All right, I'm coming back to you. I'm coming back to you in one
I know what I'm
step.
talking about, I swear.
Okay. One more
So
chance.
you got your part this time. I'm not gonna use that from a friend. I mean, this is $1 million. We can't really.
Okay. Okay. So then you see that second T? He's mean. So we gotta subtract that second 3. But then we also have to subtract it from the big year old number.
Give me eyes. Put your pencil down for a second. Now, Toby's not wrong, actually. We could divide by 3. However, the better way is get rid of the plus or minus first. I got a couple people not with me, stick with me. Because if I divide by 3, I will also have to divide this by 3, and it doesn't always work nicely. Here, we could actually divide by 3 first. But we don't want to. We want to get in the habit of get rid of that extra plus or minus first. So everybody on your paper should be writing down minus 3 on both sides. If you need to circle it to indicate that these come out to be 0, that's why the left side comes out to just be 3 T. Toby, now that we have 3T equals 51, what can we do?
Divide 51 by 3.
We can divide 51 by 3. I want a different color. Divide by 3. Divide by 3.
Did you make it red, white, and blue on purpose?
Not really, but sure. T equals 17. 17 is one of those weird numbers that like it just like 51 divided by 3 doesn't like jump out of my head saying, oh yeah, that's 17. It's just kind of weird.
It doesn't have anything that can go.
Guys, this is when you need to be really honest. And this is technically the last question of that lesson. I need everybody to ask yourself these questions right now. So like look up here so I can tell you actually like are caring. Do you understand? And it's okay, like if you don't want to ask right now, that's okay, but you gotta come talk to me later. Do you understand how we took the written information and made it into mathematical equations with variables that we chose? We chose variables, we just made them make sense because turtles and crayfish and whatever. Do you then understand how we took the sum statement they told us and make a new equation? Then, do you understand how we substituted to force like terms? This is true, but we can't do anything with it. So we sub in to force like terms being able to do something. Then do you understand why we got rid of this plus 3 because it messes with me wanting to do division? So we stop Toby from doing that yet. We get rid of it from both sides. And then we could do our division. Now, if we took the Toby route just to validate Toby and we divided by 3, this would be T plus 1 equals 18. Because if I divide 54 by 3, if I divide this by 3, and if I divide that by 3, this is still true. It still comes out to be T equals 17. It still works. Because luckily, this number will divide by 3 nicely. Most of the time, it doesn't. So get rid of it first. Questions that you're willing to ask. Nick? Yes. Other questions about this? I've eaten crayfish. I've not eaten turtle. I've eaten frogs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're like frogs.
Oh yeah, and then Kiwi ate mango. Yeah.
Mirabelle's frog eats her other frog.
Sketch a really quick parallelogram on your paper. Frog legs taste like lame chicken.
Oh.
Hey, what? What do you mean, why? So, most of the animals we eat are due to overpopulation. So, out of scout camp, I get your opposition. Like, I'm an advocate for like animal rights. But there are a ton of frogs at scout camp. If you don't take care of the population, they'll destroy the ecosystem. I'm serious. Frogs burrow into the banks of lakes. So if the frog population gets crazy out of hand, they will burrow into the bank so far that it collapses the ecosystem around the lake and it totally changes everything. And this will happen over years and years and years. But because of this, there's a lake at scout camp that like they realized, oh crap, there's too many frogs. We would go out there on our wilderness survival. It's actually a merit badge. Any Boy Scouts in here, by the way? Yeah, so wilderness survival merit badge. One of the things you have to stay a night in a shelter that you make, eating food that you catch, like all that sort of stuff. So we would catch frogs, and if you want to know how, I won't give the details to the whole class, but you catch frogs, you cut their legs off, and you toss them back in the pond because then the fish eat them. Now here's the other thing. The frogs don't realize it. Their nerves are weird. They stay alive. Like they can. You can kill it if you want to, but the fish then eat the frogs, and it's good for the ecosystem. So you take a bad situation, you make it good. I know, like, you feel like, oh, the frogs, but, like, it's necessary. It's like why we hunt deer. It's like why we hunt deer.
What?
I mean,
Did you put it
I kind of advocate for people to not have many kids. like we need to start doing something to control the human population. But it will take a while for us to overpopulate humans. There's a lot of America that's still empty. So, there's a few reasons. You guys are one of them. But in a positive thing, like I get my parental fulfillment from like working with you guys. Araya.
Did you kill the frog before you snapped off its leg?
You don't. You gently cut them in a very specific way that it's actually it's like nice for the frog. It's okay. They don't have nerves like we do. Like other animals don't have the same nervous system that we do.
They can't feel when they're like.
If you were to get your legs
Not
cut
really.
off,
If you toss them back in the pond, they will swim around, like with their front legs. Yeah.
Wait, did you put it out of the scissors so the fish could eat it?
Fish eat it. Fish eat it. You don't normally kill it because the fish want to hunt something that moves. Fish hunt moving things. If you've ever fished, that's why you keep moving the thing your bait. Toby, then we gotta move on.
it was weird having to do that for the first time because I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah.
So you feel like, alright, I'm gonna cut this frog's leg off. Alright, I'll do this. And not eating it is kind of weird.
Oh, dude, if you're gonna cut legs off, you gotta eat it. There's no I am very against killing animals just because. Like people that just hunt for sport, that's really stupid.
I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat stuff like that.
Eat it.
So
Hopefully somebody ate it.
yeah, somebody ate.
Okay,
Yeah, the
well,
first person who ate it. I brought my own like other stuff that.
But you're good.
But it was weird having
You're
to
like a
cut a
vegetarian
frog's
frog
leg
legs.
off and be like, oh yeah. It was so gross.
Just need to find a frog that was vegan and then eat it.
Kind of had a weird
I'm debating how much I should. Never mind.
No, keep going. What were you
No,
saying?
I was gonna say the part that's actually gross, but no.
Oh yeah.
Because we have people in here that I don't think would appreciate me talking about the part that's gross.
When the frog goes in your mouth.
Well, I don't really care about that. I'll make a video series like Hudson's survival technique or skills or whatever.
Hudson in the wild.
So I'm still deciding what to do for M term or testing term or whatever we call it. One class I have done in the past is scout skills for non-scouts. So like you wouldn't be allowed to sign up because you already know this stuff, but like I teach non-scouts that sort of like, yeah, and if you were stuck in the wilderness, here's what you need to know. We do like lashing and fire starting and
Where would you teach it?
What else do you do to a frog?
we do it during testing week. The base is 1 unit less than twice the height. And then the area is 91 units. Now remember yesterday when we had that situation where like the algebra method didn't really work and we got kind of funneled back into the 5D process?
Is that what's gonna happen?
I don't know, but remember that does sometimes happen. How do we find the area of a parallelogram? Base times height. So we know base times height is 91, and I'm not even going to put a label on it right now because this is working numbers. It's not a final number, it's a working number. All right, so we can label at the end, but right now labels might confuse my work. Take a couple minutes, fill in what we know based off the problem. Do not trust that my picture looks accurate because it's just a picture. Try this out. The base is 1 unit less than twice the height. That's the only chance. Not really a fan of it. Anything that makes me afraid of inanimate objects, I'm not really a fan of.
No. What are 91 factors?
91 factors.
13 and 7.
Yeah. 80?
Okay. But that wouldn't work in our situation.
Oh, hey! Look, a reference sheet that you still have from the beginning of the year. Actually, at the end of the year, hey, start putting this idea in your head. At the end of the year, I'd like to ask you, and I do this, like, I give you guys a paper and like, give me advice and stuff. Because we've changed how I teach and, like, you have worksheets and everything now, start thinking about, because we're going to be at the end of the year before you realize it, what advice do you want to give me to help the next Phoenix class? Or, like, what did you find really convenient? Like, Mirabelle's referencing her multiplication table that I gave you way back in like chapter 1, but it's still convenient because it goes up to 15 by 15. Those are bigger than most of us know. So she is looking at her table right now, looking for 91. Right? She's got this table that goes up to 15 by 15, and she's searching for 91.
You should make us.
Meredith, give me either the B equals or the H equals.
Oh yeah, 13 plus 7 does
What'd you do? Get stuck thinking about frog legs? Jeez. Lydia, either give me a B equals or an H equals. You guys know you can always pass. I don't care. Olivia! One less than twice the height. This is 2h minus 1. And then since base is referencing h, what should I put for h? H. We want to use that same variable. Now, what they tell us down here, we're now going to need to, what's that word where we replace something? Substitute. So we're going to substitute the b with 2h minus 1. So we're going to say 2h minus 1 equals, times h equals 9 to 1. Now again, if I try to do this multiplication, this comes out to be 2h, don't write this, squared minus 2h, and this is even worse. This like went the wrong way. So, like, it's right, but it's bad because we don't know what to do with it. You will know how to do that at some point, but not now.
Wait, do we know how to do this? No, we have to make a table.
So you don't have to do the full 5D process, guys. But think about this. What we have is h, 2h minus 1, and we know the product is supposed to be 91. So let's try some things. What about, like, I don't know, 6?
7 and 13.
6 would be 2 times 6 is 12, minus 1 is 11. The product is 66. That's not what I want. I don't need the whole 5D table. So, since we're too low, what should we do? So maybe 8, and then 2 times 8 is 16, minus 1 is 15. That'd be 80 plus another 4. Ah, crap. I overshot it. So, what might I try now? 7. 14 minus 1 is 13, and when we multiply that,
Wow, I bet nobody saw that one coming.
We did it. I did.
Man, I thought 7 and 12 were worse.
87.
that was as unexpected as I remember.
They're bullying me with goose noises.
Why is that
my
funny?
laugh.
That's not even what gooses are more like, aw, aw, aw. That's a goose noise.
You learned how to